I'm a little tired today. I had to set an alarm clock to wake up to watch Olympic gold medal hockey. Sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet. This is Beer in Front. Every week I'll talk to people in and around the beer world and get their stories all about beer. That's Beer in Front, and it's coming up now. Welcome to episode 292 of Beer in Front. I'm your host, Dave Zalatoris, and Beer in Front is a charter member of the Beer Media Group. I'm in Colorado again this week. I'm talking to Jerry Siote from Lone Tree. We're going to talk all about Lone Tree. Jerry's been on the show before. This time we're going to talk beer and their great Mexican lager. I've talked to more people in Colorado. I don't know if I got to send in like a W-2 or something, but I'm not arguing. I like talking to the people in Colorado. Jerry's always a great guest, so you're going to have a lot of fun listening to that coming up. More beer news, actually some not cool beer news out of Chicago and Illinois, so stay tuned for that. I think I have an in. Now, I got a guy at work who has got the word out. He works the Japan Airlines flights, that he has some people that are working on getting me a Zima. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I could finally get my Zima. But keep your fingers and toes crossed that these people will get my Zima for me. This is actually, and I'm not doing anything special on this, it's the 6th anniversary show. So I was looking back at the dates. I'm like, wait a second. It's the anniversary. So happy anniversary to Beer in Front. Been putting this out now for 6 years. It's been a fun ride. I thank everyone that listens to the show, watches the silly YouTube videos, that sponsors the show on Patreon. You know, you don't have to do it, but I appreciate if you do. And I thank you so much for listening. I've met countless friends along the way that even if I didn't do this anymore, they would still be my friends. So I really give a huge shout out and thank you to everyone that I've met, that I've talked to along the way. It's been a fun ride. No plans on slowing down at any time soon. It's been just a lot of fun. I think I mentioned, because I catch myself saying so a lot, and I mentioned it on, I think, the 3rd anniversary or something. I don't script any of this for the most part. Like the interviews I do, I have an outline, so I know what to ask. But for the most part, like this, even the videos, they're not scripted. I just go off the cuff on what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. The news segment, I'll have all my tabs open, so I make sure I copy everything and, note everything. But it's all off the cuff. But I have noticed, even more so lately, that when I'm going off the cuff, I say so a lot. And some of you people need to correct me on this, because I don't catch it when I say it, but I'll catch it when I'm like rewatching something to make sure everything, sounds good. I got to work on that. So that's going to be my goal for this year before I get to year 7. I need to stop saying so. I don't know. It's like a filler word. Maybe I need to come up with an audio program that'll just eliminate that word with my voice, because it does annoy me after a while. I was just about to say it there. But if you do see it and hear it and it annoys you, let me know, slap me, say something. It does bother me. So that's going to be, and I just said it there, one thing I'm going to work on for 2026. I'm going to eliminate that word for the most part. All right, that's enough talking here. Let's get on with Beer in Front in Lone Tree Brewing Company. In beer and beverage news, a couple of sad news out of the Chicago and Illinois market. Weiner Beer, they announced that they're going to close on the 29th of March. They're part of the Back of the Yards neighborhood here in Chicago. If you're around in the next month or so, be sure to head over to Weiner to say goodbye. But they had a good 10-year run. Sad to see them go. Also in Chicago, Illuminated Brew Works. They're going to close. They're going to be open a little later. Their last day is going to be on the 28th of June, but they've announced that they're going to shut down, later on this year. That's not cool as well. Both breweries, Weiner, Illuminated, they put out some really good stuff, and it's sad to see them shut down. But I keep mentioning, if you got a place you like, please go visit them, because I think breweries need our help more than ever right now. Microphone Brewing. Now, they have their original location in Elk Grove Village in Illinois. They were going to open up a kitchen and brew project in Park Ridge, and that's no longer going to go through. But they put a release out on Instagram, and it says, unforeseen circumstances, they're no longer going to move forward with the project in Park Ridge, because, they even had signage up and everything. That's not cool as well. They are still going to be working at the Elk Grove facility, so if you're a fan of microphones, great beers, you could still pick that up, but you're just going to have to go to Elk Grove Village to grab it. Not all of the news in Illinois was bad. Really cool news, Funky Town. They're receiving a grant from the city of Chicago. Funky Town is planning on opening up a new tap room and a brewery sometime in 2027. They've been brewing a pilot project in Logan Square, so it's cool to see them get their own place. They say this is going to be on the near west side of the city. Forget playing games like Golden Tee. There's a new arcade game that's going to be around in breweries and taverns near you. This is called Perfect Pour, the Pabst Blue Ribbon Edition. I saw some pictures. That looks really cool. So you could pour beer arcade style. So look for that at a tavern near you. Bootstrap Brewing. Now, I had them on last year on the show, I believe. They're now going to be part of the Left Hand Collective. This is a Colorado brewery collective. These are all independent breweries with this alliance, so it's not like some multinational company owns it. So that's pretty cool. So big ups and congratulations to Bootstrap and the Left Hand Collective. It's been a while since I've seen any news on Celis Beer out of Austin, but they're coming out with a new IPA called Tracksuit IPA. This should be out sometime this year. It's going to be a session beer, 4.2%. I mentioned a million times, I'm a huge fan of Celis White. That was one of my gateways into craft beers. If you're in the Austin area, you got to check out Tracksuit IPA from Celis. Coming up this week, Thursday, the 26th, the Craft Maltsters Guild, they're going to have their Malt Cup Awards. It's going to be a virtual ceremony. So if you're around on the 26th on Thursday, you got to check that out. Goose Island is coming out with a new Nightcap. This is going to be a barrel-aged stout, and they're going to finish this in wine casks. So this looks pretty cool. They don't have a release date or the ABV yet, but this is going to come out, probably in the fall when the rest of the barrel-aged beers come out. But check out the Nightcap from Goose Island. And Revolution in Chicago has announced a couple new beers. They're going to have a Saison coming out called Coup d'Etat. That's going to be an 8% beer. That'll be coming out later this year. And later on in the autumn, as part of their Deepwood series, Revolution's going to have a peach brandy barrel VSOJ. So this is going to be a barley wine aged in bourbon barrels, rum barrels, and peach brandy barrels. Everything Rev puts out in the Deepwood series is something you need to grab, and something done in peach brandy barrels, I'll be checking that out later on this year. And finally, I saw a press release about Lone Tree, and it's fitting that I saw it this week when I'm talking to Jerry from Lone Tree. But they donated in 2025 over $22,000 to their nonprofit partners. There is a $10,000 donation to the Bridge Transition Program. They also included donations to Special Olympics, Adams Camp, Two Blondes, All Breed Rescue, Seven Sisters, and the Colorado State Firefighters Organization. So that's really cool from Lone Tree. And be sure to check out the interview with Jerry from Lone Tree coming up after you hear the little segue. All right, welcome back. I'm thrilled to welcome back my next guest, Jerry Siote from Lone Tree Brewing. Lone Tree has been crafting exceptional beer for over 15 years now. 2 locations, one in Lone Tree, Colorado, and another in Parker. Not only are they known for having one of the best logos in the beer industry, they recently earned a gold medal at the Colorado Brewers Cup for their Mexican lager. Jerry, thanks again. It's great to have you back.
Dave, always great to talk, man. Thanks for keeping us in the fold.
Well, we spoke a couple years ago. We won't do the whole you escaped from planet Krypton origin story and got bit by a radioactive spider, but can you give people like a quick refresher on Lone Tree Brewing?
Absolutely. So John Winter started Lone Tree Brewing Company. He's our main founder, CEO, back at the end of 2011 in aviation. I was in the financial investment banking business, and him and I have known each other for quite some time. And I came in early 2014, and I've been here ever since. So John and I run everything and day to day, and I run the brew house and operations. And we've come a long way. We've tried to kind of stick to our roots, whatever that means these days, and just try to be very genuine about the styles we make for the community, and try to withstand all the headwinds and all the weird, social media trends and things that can kind of sometimes get you distracted on what you wanted to do. But as of right now, we're very grateful to be in the position we're in with two breweries, functioning well, working well, selling throughout the Colorado market, and just trying to keep our people happy with the best beer we can make. So like I said, it's tough times for everybody in the industry, but I think Lone Tree is in a good spot, and that helps, and allows us to do what we want to do.
You remember, or can you recall like the first moment for you when craft beer or beer in general shifted just from being something cool to your true passion, a path you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, I think like I said, it's different these days than back when our parents or grandparents were coming up in any kind of career, where I think there's just so much more adventurism or freedom for people to kind of try new things quickly before too much time goes by. And the cliche of the guy with a beard in the backyard of the garage brewing homebrew is something that I'm guilty of as well. But I took a look around, and I think so did John, late after his couple careers in aviation, that we both said to ourselves, like, what is something we absolutely could do every day for, very hard work, and knowing we're not going to get super rich doing it. And that always came to craft beer. So I don't have any regrets. I don't think John is either, of doing it this long. It's harder. It's not as, easy and automatic as it used to be, but I would say, I shifted into the industry like right when I turned 30. John did kind of in his early 50s, and it's still something that we have a lot of passion about. So there's many things you can do in life, but that was the clearest one for me, and I think John too.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, yeah, you've been going strong for what, 15 years, right? You're
Yeah.
celebrating your 15th coming up?
Yeah, it feels weird to say, but time slips by really quickly. And of course, COVID, that was kind of a too close to the event horizon,
Yeah.
time warp type of thing. So that felt like 20 years ago now. But yeah, for the end of the year here. And Parker, our brewery that we acquired 2 years ago, that'll come up on our second year anniversary there in March.
Oh, awesome. You get the
Yeah,
nice, like, 15-year, like, anniversary patch on the Brewer shirts like they do for hockey teams, football teams, all that?
that's a good idea, or
Yeah.
at least a new pair of boots for the boys. It's been a long time. So yeah. I mean, just we're happy to have good people here still, sharing in that common goal.
Well, I mentioned on the intro you just took a gold at the Colorado Brewers Cup for the Mexican lager. How many awards have you won for that beer? It seems like you won in GABF, all other competitions.
Yeah, I mean, we've won three medals in GABF over the years. We've had two silvers and a gold medal, and we've never had anything at World Beer Cup. That's still kind of the whale we're hunting. And the Colorado Brewers Cup that was in conjunction with the Colorado Brewers Summit put on by the Guild here. That's a really cool event, and this is the first year we entered the competition. We went to the conference last year, and it's just really nice to be, seen as relevant among your peers in Colorado. And yeah, so I think the Mexican, that's basically 40 to 50% of everything we make around here these days, and it's it's pleasing to know that it's a beer like beer.
Yeah.
And in this market these days, it's light yellow fizzy lager that you can't hide a lot of things in there, and we're not by any stretch of the imagination the best lager brewers around in Colorado or in the nation by far. But we try to just at this point, improve upon what's already there, and still experiment, because I think if you lose that kind of passion or desire to keep tweaking things, I think it starts to show up. And I think customers and people that have been drinking that beer for so many years, they start to notice that you're getting a little complacent. And that beer, I think, it's a great beer for all occasions, and it's kind of our gateway beer for people that are just trying the brewery.
Yeah, I could do a wide variety of styles. Is that the Mexican lager? Is that the beer you would hand to someone who's unfamiliar with the brewery? Like, this is who we are, or is there other beers you might hand out?
Yeah, I think, I was going back through some of our tax logs and brewing recipes from, the very beginning of opening the doors in 2011. And we actually just brewed our 3,000th brew here over the last 15 years. And it was actually an Irish red. So that recipe has really not changed in 15 years. And, I think what we always tried to show everybody is that we had dexterity and ability to move around styles and move around subcategories of beer, so we didn't get so one dimensional. And I think it's a little harder these days with trends, but keeping up with something on the board that's light and easy to drink, low ABV or moderate ABV, and then something malty, something super hoppy, something old school hoppy, something fruity, something sour. So, with 16 taps here and in Parker, it's always a challenge. But I would say the Mexican lager, yes, still tops the charts as something that's really consumable, high drinkability. And we're just trying to get all the beers in that same category: high drinkability, very quality.
We're recording this on February 6th. The Irish Red you just mentioned, is that like a seasonal for like St. Patrick's Day, like a lot of breweries put out?
No, that's been with us since day one.
All right.
Yep, day one. That's traditional, pretty maltier, 6 ABV, European style Irish red with some really nice specialty grains in there to kind of get a nice deep ruby color, with some English hops in there. East Kent Goldings used to have some Fuggles in there too. But yeah, that one really hasn't changed a lot. It's one of my favorites. So whenever someone asks for either some samples or just some tasters, if they've never been in before, we'll give them the Mexican, we'll give them some Irish Red, our old school double IPA, and most recently, we're in the process of transitioning our peach pale ale into kind of a little bit softer peach wheat.
Okay.
So I think that beer has run, we've had that as a flagship for 10 years as well, the peach pale ale. And I think it was just time for just to mix it up a bit in the market. So we actually just brewed that first batch last week. So we're excited about that.
How is that coming along?
It's great. We use a lot of real peach puree in there. So we want to get the most authentic flavor we can from that. and, layered upon, a really traditional wheat beer, American wheat ale base is a really good canvas for that beer. So it's come along really nice, and that goes into our mix pack for the market as well. So I'm hoping that'll make a big splash here this spring.
Has there been a beer that you brewed that surprised you with how popular it is? And also, are there any beers that you thought, oh, this is going to fly off the shelves? You're ready to retire. You've got your 401k lined up with this beer, and it didn't turn out as expected.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, like I said, I'm always trying to keep the brew house and the brewers motivated to keep experimenting and improve upon what we've already had some success with. So we had to kind of take a long, hard look at ourselves uh, this past year with our house IPA, just our straight IPA, where we knew that it was time to update that beer and basically transfer it or transform it into a brand new beer, like all new hops, all new grain bill, change the ABV, make it a much more West Coast style, consumable, dry, non-crystal malt based IPA. And we were really surprised how well it was received once we rolled it out earlier last year. And it quickly went from a very middle of the pack type of seller in both tasting rooms to number two or number three almost daily. So I think the public likes when you show them you're trying to improve upon something, and showing that you're able to refresh and use the ingredients, use the new styles and techniques that are available to you. So we were really happy with that experiment, and it's going very well. I've made a lot of bad beer here before. We typically we have very high quality standards, and um, bad in the sense like, wow, that was a nice experiment, but let's leave that one in the trash bin. But that's what it's all about. And like I said, the business side of you has to always be talking to the creative side of you. That yes, we no matter if I like a 8 or 9% strong Scottish ale, probably not going to sell very well in the middle of summer when it's 100 degrees.
Were you worried with the new IPA? Like, did you get any blowback from longtime fans of the beer?
Oh, good question. Yeah, so we definitely have a core group of regulars that have been drinking certain styles, since they've been here. And so, of course, I want constant feedback from all of them. And you know how it goes. Sometimes if you ask for feedback, you're going to get a lot of things um, that are constructive. You're also going to get a lot of things where, you kind of have to take with a grain of salt. So with that in mind, we definitely helped, or we worked with the customers in the tasting room. That yeah, we knew that it was going to be a change for them, a transition, but we wanted to have them involved in the process, so it wasn't such a shock when it came up on tap. So we try to keep that communication open, the old school kind of crystal malt, a little bit more malty IPA. And I had a little bit more pushback on that one. We tried to change the recipe too drastically, too quickly, but it was respectful. And it's funny that, let's say, it could any change you make to an existing recipe could do very well for hundreds, if not thousands of people, but there's still a part of me that doesn't want to really uh, anger disrupts the very core group of regulars that have been with us for so long and are so loyal. So I think that has to come into play. But you can't please everybody at the end of the day, but you do the best you can, and you try to find some compromise wherever that lies.
Not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, I came across a quote from you that really intrigued me. And you said, every year we seem to spend more time discussing non beer products, and that beer should be the bedrock and default mission of craft breweries. Can you elaborate on like your perspective regarding the importance of beer versus non beer offerings?
Sure. And, when I hear that quote read back, I'm like, wow, I must have been having a bad day. Because I mean, I try to keep an open mind, and I try to never say no to anything right off the bat. And times are different, and I understand that. And since COVID, we've worked with other people or other sectors in the beverage industry. I actually have a kind of a nice friendship that kind of sprung out of COVID with a gentleman who was experimenting in CBD and hop terpenes and hemp terpenes, and we tried to kind of go that non-alcoholic terpene route to make kind of a very flavorful non-alcoholic seltzer that still had some beer components in there in the form of hop terpenes and hop oils. Um, and like I said, it's fun to experiment, but sometimes I feel in this day and age, the attention span of, the American public can obviously be less than a goldfish. And we keep bouncing back and forth like a ping pong ball, trying to figure out what the next trend is going to be. And if it's not beer, you have to kind of ask yourself, then why are we doing it?
Yeah.
So with every decision you make or every tank you fill, if it's not beer, then I think I'm doing a disservice to the younger guys coming up in the business that they're not getting the reps they need with the scientific process of making better beer. And not to say that there can't be a balance of a craft. I just think sometimes it's helpful to reflect back on what you're really trying to do and what you set out to do. Because if you kind of lose that sight and that focus, I think a lot of things suffer as a result.
Well, the last time we talked was a couple of years ago, and it was about the euphoric line. Are
Yeah.
you still producing that, or is that done?
Yeah, so the answer right now is no, and we we gave it our best shot. We gave it to our distributor in very small quantities to test out in the market around our off-premise accounts that are very good to us, and we try to make it a very educational experience for both of us, the seller and the buyer. Uh, just never got the traction that we thought. And so I think it's just you kind of have to be an adult with yourself and go, well, we tried it and it didn't pull through like we thought it would. So let's shift back and we'll put it on the shelf until maybe we want to try something new. But at the moment, no, we're not trying to revive that brand in any way at the moment. But I know the non-alcoholic beer, craft beer movement is upon us, but that's potentially a whole other pitcher of beer that we can discuss the ins and outs of that. But we are not in that world either at the moment.
Well, the last time we talked was about euphoric. What do you
Yep.
think we're going to be discussing, like when we talk again in a couple years?
Oh, geez. It's hard to think
More
what
medals for the
tomorrow.
Mexican lager. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Um, I'm kind of in that weird spot in my career where, I've known guys that are at the tail end of their career and they're kind of somewhat stuck in their ways or they have a very set way of doing things. And then on the other end, you have the young guys coming up that you're trying to coach and to keep them passionate and experiment. And I'm somewhere in that middle where I'm trying to see where are we going and what is important to us as a brewery. And um, geez, I would like to think things are so cyclical, in the beer world, not only here in the US, but globally, that I think things will somewhat get back to a much more dumbed down, maybe that's the wrong term, but a much more simplified beer profile for tasting rooms where you're starting to see the revival a little bit of the West Coast IPAs and then just the very clean lagers. And I think customers and consumers of craft beer have kind of been hit from every angle in terms of what we've thrown at them. I think the hazy IPA is somewhat burned out people a little bit from craft beer. It had such a stranglehold on this industry for so long and still does to some extent. But I think the return to very dry, drinkable, flavorful beers regardless of ABV, will, I hope, take a little bit stronger of a foothold in most tasting rooms over the next couple of years.
Oh, I hope so too. Cause yeah, it's hard going into a place and it's pretty much the same beer, but it's a different hazy every week. But this time we used this hop and this time it's like it's the same beer. You just reverse the hop names. That's all you did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, exactly. And I really look up to the Cannonball Creek boys out in Golden in Colorado, and I just they're just such good people,
Yeah.
and they win everything. Their accolades speak for themselves, and when I go over there and have beers or talk to them at events, we're constantly trying to figure out like what is the most drinkable beer that we can make, regardless of the style. And I think if you don't have a footing, or that's not your bedrock or your first priority, that we have to provide something to people that they can potentially have two or three of in a responsible way. And if we're not doing that, then we're doing something wrong, right? Because that's the long-term sustainability of any of these businesses out here. So, yeah, I think I love to see where that's going. I hate being one-dimensional, or I'd love to be great at everything, but that's just not real life. But I think you should give some effort into to being able to touch on multiple styles, should you need it in your quiver there.
Well, let me get you out of here with a softball question.
Sure.
Is there a non-beer influence? It could be music, food. See, you got an avalanche calendar behind you, sports, anything that inspires you in your daily life that helps you as a brewery professional.
Great question. My wife and I, we love to travel. I know that's a cliche answer, but I had the experience of living away from the United States in college, in Europe, in Italy, and when I was over there, it really started to spark my love for travel. And my wife and I, we've been very fortunate that we've been able to travel to a lot of great countries all over that have very amazing beer culture.
Oh yeah.
And I think what that does, if I'm having a tough, span in the brewery, or, just the business side is just, kind of wearing thin on you, and you need a little pep talk for yourself, or you need some juice. I think traveling is always something that really reinvigorates me, and seeing a beer culture that's multiple times more mature than ours. I think that brings me back here much more refreshed, much more, honest with myself about what I'm trying to do. And it really helps kind of enlighten that bigger picture for me. So, yeah, going to Japan or going to Germany or going to Belgium, or any great beer culture, I think really, like I said, it keeps that pilot light lit, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I know. I think we saw the clip that Brews Beers put out from Bruges out in Belgium. And it's like, oh, I think that's going to be this trip for 2026. So I told the wife, I said, I think we're going to do Belgium this year instead.
It's one of my favorite breweries in the
Yeah.
state of Colorado, and I think they don't get enough credit. I mean, they did get some medals at the
Yeah.
Brewers Cup,
Yeah.
but if someone asks me what brewery should I hit up when I'm in Colorado other than yours, I say you got to go to Cannonball, you got to go to Brews. I
Yeah.
think they know what they're doing, and yeah, I think their passion shows up in the final product in the glass.
All right. Well, Jerry, I thank you for taking time out this morning for talking. Once again, they have two locations, one in Lone Tree, Colorado, one in Parker, Colorado. Lone Tree Brewing, you got to hit them up, grab it. Jerry, thank you again, brother. I do appreciate it. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, Dave. You do the same, and let's go, Caleb Williams. Let's go, Bo Nix.
All right. Got it. Sounds good. We'll see you next year in the Super Bowl.
All right, see ya.
All right, I'm going to try now the Mexican lager from Lone Tree Brewing Company. This is a multi-award winning beer, checks in at 5.3%. Love the artwork, love the can. This is just a classic beer. You've got malt, hops, water, yeast, and a touch of flaked corn. Sounds good. Like I mentioned, and like I talked to with Jerry, it's won a ton of awards. I'm stoked. Let's crack open the Mexican lager from Lone Tree. Beautiful light color on this. Good foam. Oh, God, that smells phenomenal. It's like a beer smelling beer. I do get some hops. I get maybe I get a touch of the corn out of the aroma, but let's try it. That's fantastic. Great body on that. Beautiful finish. You get some hop bitterness. You definitely get the corn sweetness from this. Good malt. Oh, no, this is easy. Like, you grab 6 packs of this and knock those off on a warm day. If we ever get a warm day here in Chicago, you just go outside, throw on the grill, have a couple of these, you're good to go. This is fantastic. That's just like perfect. Easy drinking, crushable beer, great taste on this. I could see why it's won a ton of awards. So if you're in Colorado or anywhere that you could pick up something from Lone Tree Brewing Company, especially this Mexican lager, just put it in the cart. Don't even think about it. Just put it in the cart. The beer is that good. All right, the local Illinois beer I'm going to have on the show this week is from Hop Butcher. This is their Blizzard of 67. Here's a little beer in front fun fact. I was not technically around for the Blizzard of 67. However, my mother was pregnant with me during this colossal visit traipsing around Chicago with my dumbass in her belly. So I have to grab this every year when they bring this one out. It's a great beer. It's a Citra Mosaic Eldorado and Yukonot hopped triple IPA. Checks in at 10%. It's always a classic. So I had to see, when I saw it, I had to grab it. So let's crack it open. Nice color on this. Wonderful foam here. Good. 3 fingers of foam. And it smells so good. Love all the hops that they use in this. Really classic smelling New England hazy IPA. Get everything from that. I mean, such a great hop combination. That's good. Big flavors up front. Nice, like creamy-ish mouthfeel. Big, like tropical, fruity notes that you're getting from the hops. Since it is a triple and it's 10%, it does give you a nice boozy kick to it at the end. Really rock solid beer here. Like, I don't know. I don't think my mother had this in 67. That might explain a lot with me today. I don't know. Mom, what were you drinking? Were you drinking Malort? What were you drinking in 67? You're probably smoking cigarettes too. So, hey, it was the 60s. You had to do what you had to do. But if you're around the Chicagoland area and you see Blizzard of 67, pick it up, put it in the cart. That's going to wrap things up for this edition of Beer in Front. I thank you very much for listening. Big thank you to Jerry from Lone Tree for coming on, also for hooking me up with some of the Mexican lager. That is a phenomenal beer. If you're in Colorado, you have to grab the Mexican lager from Lone Tree. Have a great week, everyone. I'll talk to you next week. And remember, sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet.